The Winkies lifted him tenderly in their arms and carried him back to the yellow castle again. Dorothy shed a few tears when she saw her old friend, and the lion looked like he was about to cry too. When they reached the castle, Dorothy said to the Winkies, "Are any of your people tinsmiths?"
"Oh, yes. Some of us are very good tinsmiths," they told her.
"Then bring them to me," she said. And when the tinsmiths came, bringing with them all their tools, she inquired, "Can you straighten out those dents in the Tin Man and bend him back into shape again?" The tinsmiths looked the Tin Man over carefully, and then answered that they thought they could mend him so he would be as good as ever. So they started working in one of the big yellow rooms of the castle and worked for 3 days and 4 nights, hammering and twisting and bending and polishing and pounding at the legs and body and head of the Tin Man, until at last he was straightened out enough to look like his old self again, and his joints worked as well as ever. To be sure, there were several patches on him, but the tinsmiths did a good job, and as the woodman was not a vain man, he did not mind the patches at all. When at last he walked into Dorothy's room and thanked her for rescuing him, he was so pleased that he wept tears of joy, and Dorothy had to wipe every tear carefully from his face with her apron, so his joints would not be rusted. At the same time, her own tears fell thick and fast at the joy of meeting her old friend again, and these tears did not need to be wiped away. As for the lion, he wiped his eyes so often with the tip of his tail, wetting it to the point where he was obliged to go out into the courtyard and hold it in the sun till it dried. "If we only had the Scarecrow with us again," said the Tin Man, when Dorothy had finished telling him everything that had happened, "I would be quite happy." "We must try to find him," said the girl. So she called the Winkies to help her, and they walked all that day and part of the next until they came to the tall tree in the branches in which the winged monkeys had thrown the Scarecrow's clothes. It was a very tall tree, and the trunk was so smooth that no one could climb it. But the Tin Man said at once, "I'll chop it down, and then we can get the Scarecrow's clothes." Now, while the tinsmith had been at work mending the Tin Man himself, another of the Winkies, who was a goldsmith, had made an axe handle of solid gold and fitted it to the woodman's axe instead of the old broken handle. Others polished the blade until all the rust was removed and it glistened like silver. As soon as he had spoken, the Tin Man began to chop, and in a short time the tree fell over with a crash, whereupon the Scarecrow's clothes fell out of the branches and rolled onto the ground.